Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to do a A-level question from paper 3, variant 32, May-June 2020, question 4 based on ratio analysis. The question states that the financial year of WPLC ends on 31st December. The summarized total assets in the drafted statement of financial position at 31st December 2019 were as follows. Non-current assets $556,000, current assets $224,000, total assets $780,000. The following information is also available. Current ratio is 1.6:1. Gearing ratio is 12.5%. In the A bit of the question, we are asked to prepare summarized equity and liability section of the drafted statement of financial position of WPLC at 31st December 2019. Now let's do the calculation for equity and liability. We know from accounting equation that assets is equals to capital plus liability, and in limited company we call capital as equity, so total assets is equals to equity plus liability, so equity plus liability is equals to $780,000. Then what else is given here? Current ratio is given. Current ratio is current assets by current liabilities, so we can find current liabilities using current ratio, and it is 1.6:1. So now when we substitute the value of current assets, which is $224,000, divided by current liabilities is equals to 1.6 divided by 1, then the current liabilities will be, we will take current liabilities to the other side and bring down 1.6. So current liabilities will be equal to $224,000 divided by 1.6, which is equals to $140,000. What else is given? Gearing ratio is given. Gearing ratio is equals to non-current liabilities plus the preference share capital divided by issued ordinary share capital plus all reserves plus non-current liabilities plus the preference share. As preference share is not mentioned in the question, hence it is not issued. So we are not going to take the preference share. And we also know that issued ordinary share capital plus all the reserves makes up the equity. This is the owner's stake or the shareholder's stake in the business, and issued ordinary share capital plus all the reserves is called as equity. So now with this information, what we can do is we can change the gearing ratio. So our new gearing ratio will be equal to non-current liabilities divided by equity plus non-current liabilities is equals to 12.5%. We don't know about non-current liabilities because we don't have any information related to non-current liabilities which we have to calculate. So what else we know? We know from the first working notes that equity plus liability is equals to $780,000, and we also know that liabilities is equals to non-current liabilities plus the current liabilities. We have the value for current liabilities from the second working note. So what we are going to do is we are going to change this equation. We will write equity plus non-current liability plus current liability is equals to $780,000, and current liabilities, which was calculated in the second working notes, which was $140,000. Now when we substitute this value of current liabilities in this equation, it will be equity plus non-current liability plus $140,000 is equals to $780,000. So now when we take this $140,000 to the other side, it will be equity plus non-current liability is equals to $780,000 minus $140,000, which will be equal to $640,000. Now we have the denominator, we have the gearing ratio, we just don't have the non-current liability. So let's substitute that in the formula and find the value of non-current liabilities. So it will be non-current liabilities divided by $640,000 is equals to 12.5%. So if we take this $640,000 to the other side, it will be in multiplication. Our non-current liabilities will be equal to $640,000 times 12.5%, which will be equal to $80,000. Now we have non-current liabilities, we have current liabilities, so let's find the equity as well. So equity plus non-current liabilities is equals to $640,000, which we got here in this equation. Now if we substitute the value for non-current liabilities, which we got as $80,000, our equity plus $80,000 is equals to $640,000. Now equity will be equal to $640,000 minus $80,000, which will be equal to $560,000. So now, as we have all the information, let's proceed and make the summarized equity and liability section of the drafted statement of financial position of WBPLC at 31st December 2019. We'll start with the equity, which we have calculated here as $560,000 plus the non-current liabilities, which we have calculated as $80,000, and plus the current liabilities, which was calculated in the second working notes as $140,000. We will get the total as $780,000. Next, additional information is provided which states that the non-current liabilities were represented by the bank loan obtained in 2018. The interest is 5% per annum and the return on capital employed was 22.50%. In the debit of the question, we are asked to calculate the drafted profit for the year ended 31st December 2019. So first, let's do the calculation in the working notes before proceeding to calculate the drafted profit. Here it is mentioned that the interest is 5% and this is for your non-current liabilities, and this non-current liability is your bank loan, and the non-current liabilities was calculated in the EBIT of the question in the third working notes as $80,000. So 5% of $80,000 will be $4,000. Then return on capital employed, which is ROCE, which is equals to net profit before interest, that is operating profit, or we call it as NPBI, divided by capital employed. And for capital employed, when we are talking about ROCE, what we will take? It is mentioned that we will take capital employed is equals to issued shares, that is ordinary share capital, plus reserves plus non-current liabilities, and we have calculated this again in the EBIT of the question and in the third working notes, which is equals to $640,000. So now when we substitute the value, it will be 22.50% is equals to NPBI, that is your operating profit or net profit before interest, divided by $640,000. So when we transpose it, it will be net profit before interest will be equal to $640,000 times 22.5%, which is equals to $144,000. Now, as we have all the information, let's calculate the drafted profit for the year ended 31st December 2019. We will start with the drafted profit for operation, that is your operating profit or net profit before interest, which is NPBI, which we have calculated here as $144,000, and from there we subtract the interest, because this is the profit before interest, so we subtract this interest, which is $4,000. We will get the drafted profit for the year as $140,000. Furthermore, additional information is provided which states that WPLC have the following balances at 1st January 2019. Ordinary share capital of $1 share each is equal to $200,000, which will be equal to 200,000 shares as well. And then we have share premium, which is $35,000, general reserves, which is $21,000. In January 2019, 100,000 ordinary shares were issued at the rate of $1.40 per share. On November 30th, 2019, a final dividend was paid. The dividend cover for the year was 2.5 times. In December 2019, a bonus issue of 1 ordinary share for every 6 held was made. The reserves were maintained in their most flexible form. On 31st December 2019, the retained earning of 18,000 was transferred to the general reserves. In the CBIT of the question, we are asked to prepare the drafted statement of change in equity for the year ended 31st December 2019, and the total column is not required. Now let's do all the calculations in the working notes before proceeding to make the drafted statement of change in equity. So first we will start with what we have mentioned here is the dividend cover, which is 2.5 times. So for dividend cover, we have the formula which is equals to profit available to pay the ordinary dividend. That is, here we have the profit for the year which will be available to pay the ordinary dividend divided by the ordinary dividend paid. The profit for the year which we have calculated in the B bit of the question was $140,000, which we have substituted here, divided by ordinary dividend paid, which we have to calculate, and this was 2.5 times. So now when we transpose it, that is if we take ordinary dividend paid to the other side and get 2.5 to the denominator, it will be ordinary dividend paid is equals to $140,000 divided by 2.5, which will be equal to $56,000. Also, it is mentioned that on 1st January 2019, 100,000 ordinary shares were issued at 1.40 per share. We also know that the face value of ordinary share is $1 here, and this 40 cents will be for the share premium. So let's calculate the share premium here. That is, share premium for 100,000 shares which have been issued will be 100,000 times 40 cents, which will be $40,000, and the ordinary share capital, because we have the face value of the share is $1, so it will be $100,000. Furthermore, we have additional information which states that the bonus issue of shares is as follows. That is, they will issue 6 ordinary shares. If they already have, they will issue 1 bonus share. And if we know that from the information which we have, there were already 200,000 ordinary shares, and plus they have new issue of 100,000 ordinary shares, so the total ordinary shares are 300,000 ordinary shares. So for 6 ordinary shares, there is 1 bonus issue of share, and for 300,000 ordinary shares, how much? So if you cross multiply it, it will be 300,000 ordinary shares times 1 bonus share divided by 6 ordinary share. We will get the answer as 50,000 bonus share, and these are the number of bonus shares which were issued. And it was also stated that they are issued in a way that the reserves will be maintained in the most flexible form, which means this have been issued from the share premium reserve and not from the retained earnings, so that here the reserves are maintained in the most flexible form. Next, the information also states that on 31st December 2019, the retained earning of $18,000 were transferred to general reserves. So this 18,000 will be subtracted from the retained earning, and this will be added to the general reserve. Now let's proceed and make the statement of change in equity. We don't have all the information, but wherever the information is missing, we will calculate as we proceed with the statement of change in equity. So we'll start with the ordinary shares which we have. We have the share premium here, we have the general reserves, we have the retained earning. We don't require a total column. Okay, at 1st January 2019, it was mentioned in the information that the ordinary share was $200,000, and the share premium is $35,000, and the general reserve as $21,000. We don't have the balance for retained earning for right now, so we are not going to mention it right now. But once we are done with the calculation, we will come back and mention this amount. Then there was a new issue of shares which we have calculated in the second working notes as $100,000, and for the premium which we got, that is 40 cents times $100,000 which we got was $40,000. So share premium is $40,000, which is mentioned here. Then we have the dividend paid, and for dividend paid it was calculated in the first working notes as $56,000, and this have to be subtracted from the retained earning because we pay the dividend from the retained earning. Then there was a drafted profit for the year which was calculated in the bit B of the question, which was $140,000, and this is the part of the retained earning because we retain the profit for the year, and that is called as retained earning. So we are going to add this up here. Then we have the bonus issue of shares which was 50,000, because we have issued 50,000 bonus share and each share has a face value of $1. So the ordinary share value will be $50,000. And then we have the share premium, from where we are going to issue this bonus share because we want to keep the reserves flexible. So we are going to issue it from the share premium reserve. So we will subtract this 50,000 from the share premium. Then we have the transfer to the general reserves, where we have here, that is mentioned here in the fourth working notes, which is 18,000 which was transferred to the general reserves, and this will be subtracted from the retained earning because we are going to transfer it from the retained earning. Now what we have is, we have the balances at 31st December 2019. Here we know the share capital for ordinary share, which is $200,000 plus $100,000 plus $50,000, which is $350,000. For share premium, we know it is $35,000 plus $40,000 minus $50,000, which will be $25,000. For general reserve, we know that it is $21,000 plus $18,000, which is $39,000. Now we will calculate the missing information of the retained earnings so that we will complete the drafted statement of change in equity. Now let's do the calculation of the missing retained earnings so that we can complete the statement of change in equity. Now what is equity? We know that equity consists of our ordinary share capital plus all the reserves, that is the share premium plus the general reserves plus the retained earning. Okay, equity is equals to ordinary share capital plus the share premium plus the general reserves plus the retained earning. And if you want to find the retained earning, then retained earning will be equal to equity minus the ordinary share capital minus the share premium minus the general reserve. We know the equity on 31st December 2019. So first we will calculate the balances at 31st December 2019. How do we know this equity on 31st December 2019? This we have calculated in the bit A of the question, where the equity which we got was $560,000. And from there we are going to subtract the ordinary share capital on 31st December 2019, which is $350,000, and the share premium on 31st December 2019, which is $25,000, and the general reserve on 31st December 2019, which is $39,000. Okay, so when we do that, we will get the retained earning on 31st December 2019 as $146,000, which we have done here. Okay, so we got this retained earning as $146,000 for 31st December 2019. We know this. We know this, we know this, we know this. Only missing thing is the opening balance of retained earning, that is at 1st January 2019. So what we will do is we will proceed in the reverse order. That is, we take this and from here whatever we have subtracted we will add, and whatever is added we will subtract, so that we can get the opening balance at 1st January 2019, which we did here. That is, we have taken $146,000, then here it is subtracted. So when we are going in the reverse order, it will be added. So we added $56,000. Then we have subtracted $140,000 and we have added $18,000. So when we add and subtract, that is, we take $146,000 plus $56,000 minus $140,000 plus $18,000, we will get the value as $80,000, which is the opening balance of retained earning, which is at 1st January 2019. So when we substitute this, we have completed the statement of change in equity. Furthermore, additional information is provided which states that on 18 January 2020, before the drafted financial statement were presented to the auditor, it was found that one of the customer owing $8,000 at 31st December 2019 have been declared bankrupt. In the debate of the question, we are asked to define the meaning of the term adjusting event and non-adjusting event according to IAS 10. You see, there is a date on which we draft the financial statement. As in this question, WPLC drafts the financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2019. Once these financial statements are drafted, this will be presented to the auditor, and the auditor will do the auditing of the drafted financial statement and attest the statement, saying that the information provided is authenticated. And once that is done, what we do is at a date we make the authorized financial statement. So let's say for WPLC they make the authorized financial statement on 31st January 2020. So any events which fall in this period, that is between 31st December 2019 to 31st December 2020, any event which occurs in this period will fall in the category of adjusting event or non-adjusting event. Now let us understand what is adjusting event. Adjusting events are those events which provide the evidence of the condition that exists at the reporting date. So in simple language, it means that we can link back the event to the drafted financial statement. To understand this more accurately, we can use the example which is given here, that is on 18 January 2020, when the drafted financial statement was not yet presented to the auditor. Hence, it falls in this period, that is, it falls in the period between the drafted financial statement was made and the authorized financial statement was made. And what happened here is One of the customer who was owing $8,000 at 31st December 2019 have been declared bankrupt. So this is a adjusting event. Why? Because here this provides an evidence that the condition exists at the reporting date. That is, this customer was a part of our credit sales when we have made the drafted financial statement, and as it was the part of our credit sales, we have calculated the sales revenue, and from there we have calculated the profit in our income statement. So we can relate it back to the income statement, and we can adjust this by rectifying our profit, because this is our bad debt or irrecoverable debt which have to be subtracted from the profit to be rectified. And one more thing what we have here is that this was also mentioned in the statement of financial position, where we have mentioned the total trade receivable, because this is our trade debtor and trade debtor is a part of the trade receivable. Hence the trade receivable also need to be subtracted by $8,000, because now we have a bad debt or irrecoverable debt. So what happened here is this information which is provided have the evidence in our information or the drafted financial statement which was provided on the reporting date, that is on 31st December 2019, and this event can be adjusted. Hence this type of events are called as adjusting events, which can be adjusted and which provides the evidence of the condition that exists at the reporting date. Now let us understand about non-adjusting events. These are those events which does not reflect the evidence of the condition that exists at the reporting date. That is, we cannot relate this event to the drafted financial statement which was prepared at the year ended 31st December 2019. For this, I have given an example where the part of the factory was destroyed. Say the wall of a factory have collapsed because of the flood or fire which occurred on 13 January 2020. So any natural calamity can be used for the example for non-adjusting event where a part of the existing assets have been destroyed because of the natural calamity. So this will be a non-adjusting event because there is no evidence which provide that this event have or will occur in future when we have made the drafted financial statement. And as the date here mentioned is 13 January 2020, still we have not presented the drafted financial statement to the auditor. Hence these events will be either adjusting event or non-adjusting event. However, the event which we are talking about is a non-adjusting event because there is no evidence which is provided in the drafted financial statement, and hence this cannot be rectified by changing the drafted financial statement. So this cannot be adjusted, hence it is called as non-adjusting event. And what have to be done with this kind of events? What we will do is we will mention this as a note to the financial statement so that we can provide true and fair financial information to the stakeholders. Lastly, in conclusion, we can say that adjusting events are those events that provide evidence of the condition that exists at the end of the reporting period. That is, we do have evidence that the sales have occurred as well as there is trade receivable. And what should be done? The entity, that is the business, should adjust the amount recognized in the financial statement. Non-adjusting events are those events after reporting period that are indicative of the condition that arose after the end of the reporting period, and they do not reflect any evidence of the condition that exists at the time of the reporting period, because at the time of the reporting date we cannot predict that there will be a fire in our factory. So these are those events which do not reflect any evidence of the condition that exists, and what the business or what WPLC should do, they should not adjust this amount recognized in the financial statement. However, what they will do is they will mention this event as an additional note to the financial statement. So this is all about adjusting and non-adjusting events. In the EBIT of the question, we are asked to explain the appropriate accounting treatment of the amount of 8,000 owned by the customer declared bankrupt at 31st December 2019. I have already explained this when I have explained the adjusting event, that this is an adjusting event as it arises from the sales of 2019, that is the credit sales of 2019, as well as in the trade receivable this amount existed as these are our trade debtors at 31st December 2019. And now as we have the evidence that the asset have been impaired, that is this customer have become bankrupt, so what have to be done, that is we have to now go for the accounting treatment where we write off and recognize the customer who have gone bankrupt from our trade receivable, and based on the prudence concept we take all the losses into consideration, so we write off this expense as our irrecoverable debt in the financial statement of 2019. So with this we have completed this question. Thanks for watching my videos and have a great life.